I spent my childhood skinning my knees constantly. I was a klutz, and so I spent a lot of my younger years covered in Band-Aids. 14-year-old me was not that different from 5-year-old me. I was still awkward, and I was still friends with Amy. We had the same silly sense of humor and could spend hours with each other doing almost nothing, listening to the Bare Naked Ladies, trying on all of her mom's clothing and then not putting it back in the closet. We were such good friends that when she told me she had a crush on Matt Mendelsohn in the 7th grade, I kept my crush on him a total secret, so she could have a chance. Sure, some people said he and I had chemistry together in the middle school production of A Tale of Two Cities, but we were both just being professional. And yes, he did ask if I wanted to go see Star Wars Episode 1 with him, and he asked me in front of Amy, but that was just his way of being nice and letting Amy down easy. He probably wasn't serious about going out with me, so it was better that I made an awkward joke and then walked away. I'm sure no one could tell I had a crush on him, because, best friends are supposed to keep their feelings secret. I knew Amy was my best friend because in the 8th grade, she posed the question, who's my best friend, you or Lily? Lily and I were both afforded the chance to state our cases based on how often we hung out, how much we had in common, and who really understood her. Ultimately, I won because I had known Amy since kindergarten, and Lily had only known her since 6th grade. I was her best friend. The summer before high school, Amy invited me to a horse camp with her and her mom. I wasn't really one for riding horses, but the whole fun would be sleeping in a tent and making s'mores, and Amy made that sound really fun. I had never really been camping, but I was excited that Amy only got to bring one friend, and I was it. The camp was an hour's drive away through the winding, hilly roads of Steinbeck country. When we arrived, the gate was locked, so Amy and I picked flowers along the side of the road, waiting for someone to open it. When someone finally came, we were pretty far down the road. So Amy's mom had to yell to us, "Come on, girls, gate's closing." This unleashed a panic in our 14-year-old bodies, as if it was realistic to think that her mom was just going to lock us out of the camp. We ran towards the gate in a fury, and I fell hard. I got up, but then I still had forward momentum because I had been running, and it was downhill and real gravelly, so I fell again, and then I got up and fell once more. I inspected the damage. One pebble was lodged in my right knee, and next to it was a gash wide enough to fit like 3/4. Amy and her mom came to look at my knee, covered in dust and blood and rocks, and the mom made a quick calculation. Before we drive to a hospital an hour away, let's at least check it out at the camp here. 6 horse experts, middle-aged women in light jeans or riding pants, came to my aid. Not one realized that I probably needed stitches. I was met with tack boxes of supplies, including ointments really just meant for horses. No one even had Neosporin in the whole camp. They asked me if I thought I needed stitches. And that seemed like a real inconvenience, so I was like, no, I'm good. And they agreed with me. I talked to my mom on the phone, who offered the prognosis that I should just use horse tape to keep the 2 ends of my wound together. And my mom is not a medical expert and hadn't even seen the injury, but all the other horse ladies agreed that not taking action was the best course of action. And I was left to heal on my own. So the gash just filled in with scar tissue over the next couple weeks. I failed to appreciate that I was being aided by horse owners, a people whose solution to a broken leg is just shoot it. I spent the next 3 days at the camp changing my gauze every 3 hours, unable to fully bend my leg. Amy and I spent a lot of time hanging around the main camp area. There were more kids there than I expected, most of whom Amy knew from previous years, all of whom were younger than us. I think once you hit high school, going to a camp with your parents and horses sounds like a real drag. We were just young enough to think that would be totally fun, and just old enough to be idolized by the younger kids. I learned a lot about Amy through what she told those kids. Like, she had already had alcohol 3 times, smoked pot once, thrown eggs on someone's house at Halloween, and she had already kissed 5 boys. When she casually mentioned a game of Truth or Dare at Chloe's birthday party, I almost lost it. I had hung out with Chloe once, and then Amy wrote me a letter about how she saw that I had moved on to other friends, that I was abandoning our friendship, and she was sad, but she understood that many things in life are fleeting. I was surprised by how much I had hurt her, and so I stopped hanging out with Chloe. And then Amy went to Chloe's birthday party, and I didn't even know about it. Like, I gave her an idea for a friend, and then she just copied it. Just like how she copied all of my jokes. See, I would always say a joke real softly, and then she would say it real loud to the whole group 10 seconds later. Was she using those jokes when I wasn't around, hanging out at a birthday party, getting cake and party favors, while everyone around her goes, "Oh, Amy, you're so funny." Then one of the 8-year-olds told Amy, "You look just like Kate Winslet." She also hadn't invited me to go see Titanic. That bitch. After we got back from the camp, I made a decision to just not call Amy. And Amy didn't call me the rest of the summer. I can't remember whether I was surprised, but I do remember being so sad and angry that she didn't call to check up on my knee. It was the last time Amy and I were best friends. Amy started high school with her other group of friends, and I spent the year reconnecting with those forgotten middle school friends of mine. I found out through the grapevine freshman year that Amy and Lily were dating. I guess Lily was her best friend now. Over the next couple of years, our 2 friend groups actually merged. We had a lot in common. And by senior year, Amy and I were friends again. When Lily broke Amy's heart, I was the one she called. We spent the day together, doing almost nothing. We drove to the beach, as Amy loved to do, down those winding, hilly roads through Steinbeck country. Every once in a while, Amy would let slip that she couldn't believe Lily had done this, but most of the time, we didn't even talk about it. At one point, Amy said, "I'm so glad I get to hang out with you today. You were always the best at distracting me from my problems." I had followed her around like an admiring puppy throughout middle school, and maybe that's exactly what she needed at that time. A bright, shiny puppy to distract her from whatever turmoil she was going through before she came out. I was always there, but I never got told those secrets, because, well, telling secrets is not what Amy did back then. Or that's not what I was there for. It took years before I understood why she had kept me around. And I'm still trying to figure out why I let her be my best friend, too.
That was Kate Lee, everybody. We're going to take a quick break, so come back here.